As an ICU doctor, I see the very end stages of metabolic disease every single day. The heart failure, the kidney failure, it's the final stop for a lot of people. So believe me, when a drug comes along that promises to completely rewrite that story, it gets my attention. But it also means we have to look at it with a very, very critical eye.
And I'm sure you've seen it. It's everywhere. The headlines, the posts on social media. A drug that started out for diabetes has just exploded. For millions, it's become this miracle for weight loss. And honestly, it's turned into a full-blown cultural moment.
And just look at this number. This is not some fringe trend for the rich and famous. 1 out of every 8 adults in the US has given one of these GLP-1 drugs a try. I mean, that's just staggering. It tells you how much this is reshaping the way we all think about health, about weight, and about medicine itself.
So we have to get past the hype, right? We need to really understand the science here. We need to look at the incredible benefits, sure, but also weigh them against some very real and sometimes hidden costs. That's exactly what we're going to break down, piece by piece. Okay, so the story of this medical revolution, it doesn't start in some sterile, high-tech lab. Nope. It actually starts in the Sonoran Desert with a venomous lizard. A lizard that has this incredible ability to eat just a few huge meals a year and somehow keep its blood sugar perfectly level. And the journey from that lizard to your pharmacy is just wild. It all kicked off in the 90s when scientists found this super stable hormone in the Gila monster's venom. By 2005, that led to the very first GLP-1 drug. From there, companies like Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly just refined it and supercharged it into the weekly injections that have become these multi-billion-dollar blockbusters. So it turns out, this hormone they found is basically a superpowered version of something our own bodies make. It's called GLP-1. When you eat, your gut releases it, and it sends a signal to your brain saying, hey, we're full down here. But here's the thing. Our natural version is like a flash in the pan. It's gone in just a couple of minutes. The drug versions, they stick around for a whole week. And what it does is really, it just rewires your whole system. It mimics that GLP-1, yeah, but it also slows down your stomach so you feel full for way longer. It tells your pancreas to handle blood sugar better. And maybe the biggest piece of the puzzle, it acts directly on your brain to quiet what patients call food noise, that constant chatter about cravings. It fundamentally changes the conversation between your gut and your brain. And when you put all that together, the results we're seeing in clinical trials are, well, they're nothing short of astonishing. I mean, these are outcomes that, until now, you really only saw after major bariatric surgery. Just look at the numbers. On average, patients on Wegovy lost about 15% of their body weight. On Mounjaro, it was over 20%. Now, compare that to the placebo group. Even with lifestyle changes, they barely lost 3%. We are not talking about losing a few pounds here. This is life-altering weight loss. But for me, as a doctor, this is the number that really matters. A landmark study showed a 20% lower risk of a major cardiac event. That's a heart attack, a stroke, or death from cardiovascular disease. So this isn't just about how you look or what the scale says. This is about saving lives, full stop. And you know, when you talk to patients, for so many of them, the most profound change isn't physical, it's mental. It's this feeling of relief. They talk about that constant nagging obsession with food, that loop of what's for lunch, what can I have for a snack, and they say it just goes quiet. It's gone. But, and you knew there was a but coming, there are no silver bullets in medicine. Anything that is powerful enough to do all of that good is going to come with a powerful list of trade-offs and risks. It just has to. The most common issues are all about the gut, which makes sense, right? The drug works by slowing your whole digestive system down. So it's no surprise that a lot of people deal with nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, especially when they first start or when they up the dose. And then you have the less common but much more serious risks. Things like pancreatitis, which is a dangerous inflammation of the pancreas, gallbladder problems, even kidney failure. And these drugs carry what's called a black box warning from the FDA. That's their most serious alert for a potential risk of a certain kind of thyroid tumor that was seen in studies on rodents. These are the risks that require a serious talk with your doctor. Now, this is a danger that I think is critically overlooked. When you lose weight this fast, you're not just losing fat. Studies are showing that up to 40% of the weight lost can be lean muscle mass. For an older person especially, losing that much muscle is a huge problem. It weakens you, it wrecks your metabolism, You're basically trading one health crisis for another.
And there's a really dark, subtle risk, too. Because these drugs mess with the reward centers in your brain, they don't just turn down the cravings for food. For a small number of people, it seems like they turn down the pleasure from, well, from everything. It's a condition called anhedonia. Hobbies, music, even relationships. Life just feels flat.
The challenges don't stop with just the medical side effects, though. We also have to face some of the practical, long-term realities of what it means to be on these drugs. And this is the big one. This is not a 3-month fix. We treat obesity as a chronic disease, which means these drugs are a chronic treatment. To keep the weight off, you have to keep taking the medication, probably for the rest of your life. It's a subscription. And that leads to the single most important question that anyone thinking about this should ask their doctor. What happens when I stop? Because life happens, right? People lose their insurance, the cost becomes too much, or they just decide they're done. What happens then?
Well, the research on this is pretty sobering. Within just 1 year of stopping the drug, the average person regains 2/3 of the weight they lost. Without that chemical signal keeping the appetite down and the food noise quiet, the body's old biology just comes roaring back.
This whole phenomenon has also shined a pretty harsh light on the cracks in our healthcare system. We're talking about a cost of over $1,000 a month if you don't have good insurance. That creates this two-tiered system of who can get it and who can't. And that desperation has fueled a really dangerous black market for counterfeit drugs that could easily land you in my ICU. So, after all of that, the incredible benefits, the serious risks, the hidden catches, where do we land? What's the right way for us to think about these drugs?
Let's be crystal clear. These are powerful tools for specific, serious medical conditions. We're talking type 2 diabetes. We're talking about clinically severe obesity, especially for people who are also at high risk for heart disease. This is not for someone trying to drop 10 pounds for a wedding. And it absolutely must be used with a doctor who's managing the whole picture: diet, exercise, and watching for all those side effects. And that leaves us with the biggest, most difficult question of all. Are these drugs really solving our health crisis? Or are we just handing out a really effective, really expensive, fireproof jacket to people while the house, our entire food environment, our lifestyle, is still burning down all around them? That's the conversation we all need to be having.